Today is a very special day. Throughout the One Buddhist Temple, throughout the world, celebrate this self-transformation prayer, which took place 1919 by 9 disciples and Sotaesan. Through their prayers, they were able to let go of selfishness and united one with universal self, or we can call it larger self. Sotaesan, in the early time, in this holy land, I think some of you have been there, you know the awakened energy there, and we hope one day we go there, and we too can experience this self-transformation and awakened, and use this awakened energy all the time. The founding master addressed 9 disciples. These days, material civilization flourished daily with immense power, while human spirit, they should make use of material things, has steadily weakened. There is no peace of mind, whether at the level of an individual, family, society, or nation, and the suffering of all sentient beings will be unbounded. How can we, who have set our hearts on saving the world, think lightly of this situation? There have been occasions in the past when the sages prayed to heaven and earth with utmost sincerity to deliver all sentient beings, which move the will of heaven. Now you too must pray to heaven and earth with single-mindedness and utmost sincerity, that human beings may become masters of material things instead of being enslaved by them, and thus try to move the will of heaven. So this is the point: move the will of heaven. Your mind is none other than that of heaven. Remember, your mind is none other than that of heaven. Hence, you should know that if your mind is concentrated and completely devoid of selfishness, its virtue will become as one with the virtue of heaven and earth. So you have this virtue within yourself if your mind is concentrated and devoid of selfishness. And it will lead all your affairs to success. So everything you endeavor will be successful if you have this mind. Therefore, you must realize that each of your mind possesses an element that will move the will of heaven. And always remember that each of you has a responsibility to deliver all sentient beings. He then assigned the date and prayer site and orientation of each of them, and had members continue to pray together at the same time. So maybe we can begin today that prayer, remembering that you have your special location, your home, maybe special location. That special location is about your place and your share and your portion in the world, in the universe. When we put our portion here in the altar, in the cosmic diagram, really we are uniting one with the universal self. As if like we are plugging into outlet. If you put the plug in the outlet, you will be able to use electricity, very powerful electricity. But there are outlets all over. If you don't know how to use that, or if you don't really connecting it to the electric outlet, you may not be able to use it at all. So very similarly, in the universe, there is a universal electricity which always inspires us, sustains us, really giving a lot of inspiration and wisdom and truth. But if you open to your heart, open to your ear, and open to your mind, and open your purpose on earth, you will be able to hear it or know it and be connected. This is the significance of the self-transformation. Today, as Sotaechan mentioned here, it's 1919 in Korea. It was very poor. Also under Japanese colonial dictatorship. And he talked about this material civilization. Much more relevant today. When you hear material civilization, it means that all things or machines become very important in our lives. Because of this material civilization, we are very busy to catch up with our technology, catch up with and keep up with our society, keep up with the whole world. So we have to use the machine all the time in our hands, texting it, surfing it, even with your iPhone. So he talked about, because of this material civilization dominating human life and dominating our world, the individual suffering. How we individually suffer? Because we are so busy with technology, so busy with the little machines and big machines too, all the time, and we don't have a time to really reflect about, why am I here on earth at this time? What is the purpose and meaning of my life on earth? What do I want to achieve in our life? So we have to have that kind of a reflection that can come, the wisdom and inspiration and compassion and loving kindness from our silent reflection. We call it meditation. But we don't have enough time to meditate because we are so busy with the information out there, busy with keeping up with friends and society and so forth. So individually, we are learning always and multitasking and busier and busier and doing more and more things in less and less time. So our spirituality, our inner center suffered. So individually, the materialism do not give us time to cultivate our inner self. That is a big problem in this world. And how our family then suffering because of material civilization. Because you have to maintain bigger house, nicer car, all kinds of material things, not only just the bigger space and bigger car, but you have the content also very important. So mother and father both are working to maintain this material life. So children are left alone at home. What do? Computer games, video games, surfing in internet, and expose the information they don't even understand. And this is really common in our children today's life. A few years ago, one of my students, he was just 5 and learned this stuff, and then ordered the 800 number, using 800 number, ordered a lot of different things. And the stuffs arrived and nobody knows why they came there. So our children are left alone like that. So much more time they spend exposed to violence or really not properly spending their time. If kids are alone at home, what would they do? So a family. So when they got older and need to go to college, they couldn't make it because they never studied it. They don't know how to study. So this is the material civilization bombarded by family situation, and we are part of this material civilization and using our energy in that way and neglecting very important part of raising our next generation properly with the spiritual values. So family are suffering. How about our society? 2003, about this time in August, when we had a blackout, just the one station overloaded just to turn off the signal of electricity. It's tripled all over, about 8th state of United States in northern part. And what happened that day? Do you remember that day? Were you here in New York or in part of this? Some of us just stranded and trapped in the elevator. There's no way to put the electricity back. And some of us just under the water of East River here. The train stops under the water. And all our lighting was out. No water. What happened? We depend on too much on machine. Just a material civilization. Without our realization, we just depend on too much. So our society, I think collectively we have to raise more of a spiritual cultivation and more spiritual values, knowing who we are and why we are doing what we do, and really understand the meaning of our life on earth, instead of just so busy and catching up and keeping up with the speed of life on earth. So how about our nation? It's collectively, the nation is a collection of individuals and families. And this is something Sotaesan really worried about. That's why the prayer, he selected the farm village members that time, and selected 9 out of 40 about that time, and the faithful members who can really understand what his vision was. So these 9 disciples sitting with Sotaesan and then discussing about this spiritual transformation. So they asked them, pray. It's not pray about their health or their success. They all pray for the whole world. Very specifically, human beings become the masters of material things. So to help our world today, the best thing is that you become master of material things. Material things do not dominate you anymore. You are not enslaved by them anymore, but you yourself become masters of the material things. So he prayed, and with the 9 disciples. And the 5 months of their consistent daily prayers, not only just sitting here in a cozy place like a temple or even at home, they prayed in the top of the mountain. I think you saw that the 9 peaks, it's where Sotaesan was born, our Holy Land, is a mountain village. So it's all surrounded by many, many mountains. We call 99 mountain peaks around. So he picked the 9 mountain peak, and he was sitting in the first temple. So it's symbolized here. This 10 is very significant because this 10 means universe. And this 10 means we are one with the universe. So universe is heaven and earth is really co-creator with us. When we experience a tsunami in Japan or tsunami in Indonesia and many parts of the world, it's something, it's telling us something, right? Our human behavior somehow give impact in earth, and the earth now responding in different way. When we put a large hole down there, it gives earthquake. So the earth is moving down there. So why we don't understand this interconnectedness and oneness with this universe? When Sotaesan talked about your mind is identical with the mind of the heaven and earth, what does that mean? Also, he asked his 9 disciples, pray to move the will of heaven and earth. Here, heaven is not up there, heaven is like a sky, it's a kind of a universe. 1916, he was enlightened, 1919, he was talking about the whole universe has a consciousness. He was perceiving whole earth, whole universe as a living being and co-revolutionary partners. So human collective consciousness is very, very important to give an impact. He said, move the will of heaven and earth. What does that mean? The heaven and earth has a will, earth has a consciousness. What we plant small soybean on the garden, what happened to this garden? Soybean spot came out of the earth and it grow and bear soybean. So he used this example that there is a consciousness of heaven and earth. So if we know and understand this, our being on earth has a much bigger meaning. Our daily life must have a much larger purpose on earth. We are not just merely here, eat and sleep and live. Dog can do that too. Consciousness, human consciousness is different from dog consciousness, right? In similar way, universal consciousness is not functioning exactly like a human being, but there is something in the universe, kind of a recording chamber, and then responding and corresponding our being on earth, our way of relating life in this earth. He said, when you let go of selfishness, your virtue becomes the virtue of the heaven and earth, the universe. So let's just spend a moment to think about the virtue of earth, virtue of a universe. Without them, nobody, not a single life can survive. Without sunlight, who can live? Who can survive? The sunlight shining us never discriminate. I like you, I will give you more sunshine. I don't like you, I'm not going to give you my sunshine. They never do that. They just openly and embrace everybody equally, giving their loving sunlight. And water. Without water, if earth do not provide us water, nobody can survive. So their virtue, because of water, we grow, we wash, we eat, we drink. It's all possible. How about the soil? If we don't have a soil, how can you come here and even sitting on this temple? So each step, when we walk outside, even sitting here, feel the earth, connected with the earth. The earth must be giving you some message. So the virtue of heaven and earth are unlimited, but you yourself can become like that. If you let go of selfishness, it's not easy. It's very difficult to let go of selfishness. We bombarded by this, I, my, me, mine songs all the time. But it's possible. As Sotaesan tested with his 9 disciples, all 10 at that time, August 21st, 1919, today, 10 of them let go of all selfish. They didn't have any selfish desire at all, but became and united with the universal self, a larger self. And this larger self in the universe is co-creating and with a partner with us to develop better life on earth and better life for everybody. So this is a very important teaching and inspirational at that time, seeing earth as a living being. 1970 now, earth scientists began proving it. And today's, I think collectively, Rio Plus 20 is coming next year. You know Rio, Earth Summit. So Earth Summit Plus 20 will address it again, but collectively, people, environmentalists and spiritual teachers, 35,000 gathered, and they proclaimed with the people's statement that Earth is a living being. So if we begin to enlarge our consciousness, begin to understand a larger picture, we don't have to be the way we are at this time. It's not fun to be selfish, right? Because nobody will like you if you're selfish. How about to let go of selfish and taking care of a whole community as yourself? Taking care of our society as our own family, whole earth community as our extended family. I think that is the message we are getting today. So Sote-san is empowering you through this prayer, through this passage, through this teaching. So secular names so far, Michael, Emily and Carrie, so Mickey and Ginny, all those were secular names so far, was for your individual life. But when you have this Dharma name today, and everyone else who have a Dharma name, we have now making deep commitment to expand, to open our heart, to see the real truth, to see who you are, how beautiful you are, because you are Buddha mind and Buddha nature hidden in you, waiting for you. Let me govern you. Let me be with you. So from today, just understanding this greater self and your Buddha mind or Buddha nature and Dharmakaya in you and Dharmakaya in everyone else, cultivate that steady, consistent meditation practice that will help you to see as Sote-san and 9 disciples did. It is possible. He opened the door that time, universal door for all of us to become like that. If you look at the diagram here, luckily 2 diagrams completed. All 9 people functioning together as a unity. But some of them, that diagram do not have a leaders. Doesn't have a spiritual vision. So just the people got together and functioning in small, petty, ego, self way, then they are in trouble. It's dysfunctional. And here, if you see this one, our individual being on earth to share when you have potentially as a living Buddha or as an awakened one, if we don't fulfill our share, what will happen? It's like a dysfunctional family, a dysfunctional society. They are suffering collectively. So your being on earth, just recognize your real self, your Buddha mind, your Buddha universal self, and larger self, and expanding it through your spiritual cultivation. That is the best way to help the individual alleviating suffering of individual, and being enlightened. Be awake all the time and see this connection in the universe. See connection all beings in the universe. And all earth community, we are interdependent partners. Your well-being deeply related with my well-being. And my well-being also deeply related with your well-being. So knowing this, taking care of our real self, Buddha nature, Buddha mind, and the larger self through consistent practice is critical for individual happiness and joy. And our family again, if we have awakened one in our family, our whole family will be brightened. In our society, if we have more awakened people, our society will be much better off. Have at least the wisdom how to transform together, and our nation and so forth, whole world. So today, by receiving your Dharma name, we are making this new journey, really serious journey to know who you are. Not this who you are, but real who you are. This Buddha within you. And that is the beginning of the confidence. That is the beginning of a new life. And that energy, new awakened energy, bring our family, our society, our community, and our world. So today, as we celebrate this self-transformation prayer, as it happened 1919, we can all begin today. At least 1 week daily, have your own prayer. And let go of this I, my, me song anymore. Just let it go and be calm, bigger, larger, and expand your notion of who you are, notion of me. Whole world is you. As we connected with this universal electricity, our vibration can go up. Not with the darkness bringing down everybody, make it tired and sick, but everybody elevating ourselves, individually elevating, collectively elevating together, and we can bring this awakened spirit, awakened, renewed commitment to our journey. So congratulations again for 5 of you especially, receiving Dharma name today, begin new life. And as Sote-san promised here, your success is guaranteed if you really cultivate it, if you really meditate and have this spiritual strength and confidence and the loving kindness and compassion and wisdom and serenity, of course. Sote-san, remind us again, the best way to live our life is this way. So being selfish is not really, no place in spiritual life. So just reflect how you live your life, and today we can make that change, that shift. Be a little more compassionate, to express our love, loving kindness to life around us, including myself. And this spiritual movement can awaken whole civilization of spirituality. So we need to counteract with the material civilization and balancing it, both material and spiritual civilization together. So our life is better and life around us better. So let's make that commitment today, here and now, and continue.